Hello everyone, welcome to my Outside Your Comfort Zone Challenge video. If you're new to my videos, I've challenged myself to talk about mental health for 31 days and today is day 8. So a few days ago, I put out a questionnaire on my Instagram stories asking for suggestions on what to discuss during this challenge. And one of my Instagram friends, @forever, even though it's spelled different, so I'll put it in the caption, suggested that I talk about mental health in the Black community. Now, I feel like this is such a wide topic that I may have to talk about this a few times. But for now, let me just say that I don't think that we talk about mental health in the Black community nearly enough. I will give us credit to say that we're starting, because even in my own experience, a couple years ago when I was in high school, I couldn't even find a therapist. People were wondering why I would even want that kind of attention being brought to myself. And now there's, videos on YouTube and channels like mine and other ones, and obviously better therapy. We still need to work on access, but there is some there, way more than, let's say, 10 years ago. And I talked about this before, but 10 years ago, or more than 10 years ago, I wanted to do a mental health vlog. And I didn't because, one, I was, letting my own fears and insecurities stop me, but also I knew I was going to be ridiculed, and I was afraid of that. Even people who mean well say and do things when it comes to mental health that is ridiculous. Like, I've actually had people say, "Why do you want to go see a therapist? You don't look crazy." I can't even go into how problematic and traumatic that statement is. Mental health needs to be treated like any other health, like physical health. And just because you can't see someone's disability doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I get that a lot. I feel like people tend to think that people are trying to get attention, and so they mistreat them instead of having sympathy and helping. Specific to the Black community, I feel like, I can't even gather my thoughts to talk about all the trauma Black people have gone through. Slavery, segregation, housing, just being dehumanized. I mean, at some point we were either thought of as too stupid to know or have emotional feelings and trauma, or too animalistic and strong to feel that kind of pain or any kind of pain. Think about that. That's ridiculous, right? So we were always treated like we couldn't possibly be hurt emotionally or be reeling from the trauma that we're going through. And I think our people have internalized that. So now we kind of beat each other down and tell each other to shh and don't talk about that. My being mentally ill is somehow, an attack on my whole family or a shame on my whole family. So we kind of hide it and don't want to be seen as weak. And we're not weak, y'all. We are human, and it's normal to deal with trauma. It's normal and you have to deal with it, unpack it, and discuss it in order to heal it, right? Or you keep passing it on in your family from generation to generation, which I feel like we're kind of dealing with now. So yeah, here we are at the gate, about to fling it open, I hope, on this whole mental health thing, because we're in a space now where we're actually are being able to talk about all the trauma associated with race. And I feel like once we start talking about that, then it will open up more of a space for us. Because think about it, when you read in the news about a white kid who has shot up a school, the first thing they talk about is whether or not he got bullied, right? Because white people understand that being bullied is trauma. And if you get enough of that trauma, you can snap and react in an unhealthy way, right? They get that. Except that when it comes to Black people, they lose all that and forget about all the trauma we've had to deal with and all the trauma we are continuing to deal with. But specifically in the Black community, I would say we need to work on loving each other a little bit more. We definitely are so hard on each other, and we definitely attack each other instead of supporting. And I think that is passed down from white people in slavery, because we were taught not to stick up for each other. We were taught to either hide to protect or throw away to protect ourselves. And I think that is what is stopping us from dealing with the mental health that's in our community. I think if any people are rightfully dealing with mental health, it's Black people. Every day is trauma. Everything from work, school, housing, walking down the street, everything is so oppressive that you're being traumatized over and over and over and over again. That's a whole different conversation from dealing with, if you have mental health in your family. Because for me, I have mental health issues stemming from both my trauma and my family's genetic. My mother struggled with mental health, and that's something she's passed down to several of her children. So yeah, in addition to having to deal with your genetic makeup, there's also the trauma. And they're two different things to deal with, and I'm sure they have multiple different ways to deal with it. I'm not a mental health professional, y'all. I keep saying that. But therapy is always a good first step to anything. Unpacking what you're dealing with is always a good first step to dealing with your mental health. So as always, I suggest therapy for everyone. Even if you don't feel like you have mental health issues, if you're Black, you have trauma or ancestral trauma. Even if you feel like you haven't had any, just turning on the TV is traumatic. So I suggest therapy for everyone. As always, I'm gonna put the suicide prevention hotline number down below. I may talk about suicide in one of my videos. I'm not sure. It's a weird topic for me to discuss, so I'm not sure how comfortable I feel about that right now, but I might. If you guys have any questions, any thoughts, any experiences, anything to add, please feel free to put it down in the comments. I really would like this to be a conversation that we have more freely, and I will offer myself as tribute to talk about my own struggles if that helps us to talk about the collective struggle or individual struggle. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, so I hope I did that topic justice. I'm sure I'll talk about more stuff about mental health and the Black community. But until then, I hope you all are practicing self-love and self-care and having the best day you can possibly have. Bye.